He's the artist behind some of the most iconic images in Hollywood history, but his work is seen before stepping inside a movie theater. Struzan designed the posters for film classics like Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and Back to the Future. A new documentary about his life and work premieres this week at Comic-Con in San Diego. Here's a clip from Drew, the man behind the poster.
There is one artist for every couple of decades that encapsulates what film experience was for a couple of generations. And I think for my generation and the generation right before me, Drew Struzan was the movies.
There's images that Drew has drawn that are burned in my brain forever. They'll never go away.
His posters are modern-day classics. That's not an opinion, it's a statement of fact.
It's not just an ad, you know, it's the first notes of the piece. It's the beginning of the story.
Drew Struzan joins us from Los Angeles, and Erik Sharkey is here in the studio with us. He's the documentary's director, and thank you so much, gentlemen, for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
Erik, I want to...
Thanks for allowing us, yes.
Erik, I want to begin with you. Why make a documentary about Drew Struzan?
Well, I grew up on his movie posters, and as a child, I felt an instant connection to them. And his art has always inspired me throughout my entire life. So I wanted to just get to know him better personally. I wanted to learn about this man, and I wanted to spread the word about this amazing artist who's painted all these iconic images.
It must have been pretty weighty, though. I mean, to do a story and to want to do it justice of the man who really is your hero.
Yes, I mean, someone I admire greatly, but I also had to make an honest movie.
Right.
So, yeah, it was great getting to see him in the studio, getting to see him paint, getting him to share all these secrets with us in his life. And it is a heavy responsibility, but I think we really did him justice.
It's a fascinating documentary. Drew, tell us a little bit about how you got into painting movie posters. I understand you were a struggling artist for a while. Your first job was painting album covers. So how did it come to be that you painted movie posters?
It was no dream or plan of my own to paint posters. I, like you said, was painting album covers and many other kinds of things, struggling for more than a little while, for quite a bit. But what happened is when I was painting the album covers, people started to see my work because it was, you know, in all the album stores. They used to have those in those days. But anyway, the movie industry saw my work. And I suppose because the album covers were mostly portraits of people, and portraits are what the movie industry needs, they became interested in my work, and they actually called me. I did not pursue them, they pursued me.
That is a dream and speaks volumes about your work. Tell us a little bit about the process when you are called upon to come up with an image. Is there close collaboration with the director? Do they come to you for ideas? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, nobody would want the job I have because every day holds something new, and I don't have the slightest idea what I'm going to be doing. So sometimes they call me, I get to go in and meet with the director of the movie. Other times they just call and say, we have a new movie, you want to do it? We'll send you over a script. Sometimes I get to see all the still photographs that have shot during the making of the movie. I work for a different director, different studio, different movie every day of my life. So I had to be on my toes, I had to work hard, and I never knew what tomorrow would bring. And I liked it that way because I'm a creative. I don't care what tomorrow brings. Bring it on.
It's a certain personality, right, who can deal with that. Yeah. You've done posters for several film trilogies, and in the case of Star Wars, all 6 movies. But for the first 3 episodes of Star Wars, you came up with something called the triptych. Tell us about that.
Well, as usual, they called a day late and a dollar short. They were coming out with the special editions of the first 3 movies. And they were going to release them all at once. 1 week, the first movie, 2nd week, the 2nd movie, 3rd week, the 3rd movie, and they had 1 poster for it, and they called me and said, we want you to do 1 poster. And I said, you want me to do 1 poster for 3 movies? He says, you're blowing a great opportunity here. Let's do 3 posters and make it a triptych and make it the best movie poster ever seen. And I was talking to George Lucas on the phone at the time, And he said, okay, what do you have in mind? So I had to design it over the phone immediately between me and George, about 10 o'clock at night.
Unbelievable. And now all these years later, and it is legend. Erik, let me ask, do you have a favorite poster of Drew's?
That's a hard one. In fact, if you ask Drew, he'll always say his favorite is the next one. And I've grown to take that opinion too. I love them all. I really couldn't. But there's a couple that stand out, like Big Trouble in Little China or Back to the Future. There's definitely some favorites, yeah. And
what about you, Drew? These are all your babies, but do you have a favorite of those you've done thus far?
No. It's like Erik said, I can't have a favorite because, again, it's that personality.
Right.
If I have a favorite, all I want to do is repeat myself. And as an artist, what I want to do is make the next one better than the last one.
Mm-hmm. You know, the movie industry has moved away from these hand-painted movie posters. Why do you think that is, and may we see a return to that, Drew?
Oh, my goodness, they don't tell me why they do what they do. I saw it changing when the computers became part of our lives. And they had to play with the new toy, I suppose. And so they started using the computer to build their posters. The public is crying out for the art again, because I think people need art. They need something made by a human to reach a human heart. So I do think it will come back. Whether or not I'm still alive at that time, I have no idea, but I have great hopes for it.
Drew, in the documentary, you said you are retired, as hard as that is for us to accept. What led you
to... You see how old I am?
What led you to that decision? Because you obviously really do love what you do.
I love to make the paintings, but you would think I was exaggerating to say it's probably one of the hardest jobs in the world. To work for a new boss every day, to work 48 hours at a stint more than once a week, to do the same thing for 45 years. Doesn't matter if it's a holiday, if you're sick, if you're tired, if you're confused, if you want to get married, if you want to get divorced. I didn't do that.
No time for any of that. But
yeah.
Drew, would Star Wars Episode 7 perhaps draw you out of retirement if you were asked to do that movie poster?
Well, all I can say is I haven't been asked yet. It just might. I always say I'm retired, but not from my friends. And George is one of the loyalist friends I know. So if he were to ask me, even though JJ is directing now, if I say this publicly, I'm going to be in trouble. It's okay, Drew, I'll wait to see what happens.
Well, we hope he asks. But Erik, in 10 seconds or less, tell me, what do you hope people take away from your film?
I just hope people just realize Drew's influence on pop culture and how hard he's worked over the years and dedicated his life to giving us these beautiful posters.
Well, thank you for the work you've done, and Drew for the work you've done, and we've enjoyed all these years. Artist Drew Struzan and director Erik Sharkey, thank you so much, gentlemen, for being with us today.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Drew, the man behind the poster, has its world premiere Friday, July 19th at Comic-Con in San Diego. It will run for 1 week. For tickets and information about showings in other cities, log on to drewstruzandocumentary.com. It's the highlight of baseball's all-star festivities, the Home Run Derby.